Hello, Steve. How are you?
Hi, Dylan.
How's it going, man?
Good. Uh-oh, we're the only ones here. Hi, Monica. Hi, Diane. Hi, Carol.
Hello there. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Diane. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good, good.
Hi, Steve. Looking good.
Hi, Diane. Monica, congratulations on your award. How's it going with the website and the videos?
I did my thank you. Yeah, I am so happy. Eh, I did the WordPress, the blog, but it says that I actually was going to call you. It says that the website, it cannot be, hold on, I took a picture. Let me see what it says. It says, it says your home page cannot be indexed by search engine. This is very bad for SEO and should be fixed.
Okay, send me that and I'll take a look and see if I can get that, get an answer for you on that today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I will
screen capture
send
would
it.
be perfect. Yeah, send me a screen capture of what it is.
Okay, I will. I already took a picture. And then, yeah, I'm doing that.
Excellent.
Not preferring.
All right, let's give it 2 more minutes and we'll start the training. Steve, I'm gonna be sharing the screen. So if you can enable me for that. Perfect.
Yeah, you got it now?
Yeah, I got it now. Thank you.
Okay, good. Everybody just, if you can, call and text and WhatsApp all your peers and colleagues. I just texted one and reminded them, come join us on the Zoom. And we're going to get started here in a minute. It's going to be a good one about contracts and closing. Right, Daylon?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's going to be, looks like a lot of good information. So make sure you share this with everybody and get everybody coming.
Thailand.
Dímelo.
Are we going to do the training through dot loop or
Well, actually, the training has to do with the contract itself, not the system that we're using. So whether you use for simplicity or Dalu, whichever one, it's up to each and every one of you. But we just gotta go over the contract and negotiating a contract.
okay? Come up and down.
All right. All right, guys, let's go ahead and start the training for today. I wanna welcome everybody to Real Estate Friday, and thank you for joining us today. I hope you're having a great Friday so far, and we look forward to an amazing weekend. But today we're gonna be talking about contracts, contracts and closing. As you know, one of the principal aspect of a real estate agent is to be able to understand and explain a real estate contract, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen now. Let me see if it's this one. All right. Let me know if you see that. Steve, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, so give me 1 second. All right, so in order to close more deals, you need to be great in all these areas, and this is what completes an agent. So you have to be great at network and referral base. You must have a unique brand, and you have to be expert in your business. And we're gonna focus a little bit on the becoming expert in the business through analyzing a contract. But you need to be great in all these three ways, right? So on networking, you have to be great at networking. I mean, of course, you want to get to know more and more clients, create more leads, create a base for more referrals. So you have to build this as your business grow. You have to work on your brand. So that has a lot to do with you. And we've been having a lot of trainings exactly on how to do this on creating a unique brand for you. And Steve talks a lot about the why creating a unique brand it's good for you and how it will help your business. And becoming an expert in your business, obviously, that's what we want ultimately. Now, how do you do this? Well, there's sort of different ways that we have seen, and you probably have seen it too, and it probably gets to you when you're calling real estate agents because you want to show a property, or are you trying to get somebody on the phone, a real estate agent, and you can get a hold of them. Doesn't that boils you? Like it gets you. So it gets me, and this is something that we don't want to practice the same style of business. So first thing first, you got to show up to work, and that means answer your phone each and every day or every time they call you, because you never know. It could be somebody that's calling to show a house that you have, one of your listings, or it could be a referral. Somebody that's looking to buy or sell, and because you didn't answer your phone, you might have lost that lead. So show up to work, answer your phone. That's very important. You got to be persistent, follow up. There's the three F's for follow up, which is follow up, follow through, and follow back. So you want to make sure follow up is the key when it comes to sales. You want to follow up. You want to follow up with clients, past leads, everybody. When we started this whole pandemic situation, one of the things that we were talking about a lot, it was the follow up. All right, past leads, follow up with your sphere, follow up with people that you have talked to at one point. Now is the time to follow up. Make those phone calls and be persistent. Right, persistency is key when it comes to the follow up, when it comes to our business as well. Listen to the consumer. That's very important. Tackle objections. We have had trainings on exactly on objections and how to go around these objections. Know your market. Visit listings. A lot of you I've seen on social media how you've been going to see different properties, putting in your postings, showing those listings. Sometimes it doesn't have to be your listing, but or you need to have a buyer looking for a specific property like that. But if you go and you visit, that's a great way of getting to know the market that you're farming, and value your work. Why value your work? Because the client needs you. The client needs your knowledge and your guidance. So if you value your work, obviously you're gonna go above and beyond for your client. Now, these are the things that we all need to know. And this right here is our responsibility. Now, as you know, our main responsibility is the contract. So it's very vital that we understand a contract, and not only understand it, but being able to negotiate the contract. So these are the main points when it comes to our business. So it goes with negotiating well the contract, monitor the deposits, inspections, timelines, and extensions, title, liens, permits, mortgage pre-qualification, third-party communicator, walkthrough, attend the closing, and know the HUD and CD statement, prorations, etc. So I'm gonna go over little by little on this, and then we're gonna go see a sample of a contract, and then we're gonna break down the contract. So negotiating well. How does anybody, can anybody tell me when it comes to negotiating the contract, what does that mean? Negotiating well. Who can tell me that? Feel free to unmute yourself so I can hear you.
I think it's just
Well,
getting
all
to
the
the.
terms.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Basically, all the terms like inspection periods, price, contingencies, etc.
Right. So when it comes to negotiating well, it's talking about negotiating the terms. My dear, you were gonna say?
Yeah, it's mostly like to know how's the value of the market around the area. I always go to I call it the E, the I in there. So I check comparables and I see which one is like getting closer to that one. I go to the lowest, to the highest, to the middle, and then I can see like if the house is 250 and if the area is 230, I'm gonna go like to see. Depends if they have like 10 contracts or 10 people that they're looking for, we're gonna go the highest. But it has 145 days on the market, I would go lowest we can, so we can fight for our client.
Excellent. All right. So negotiating well. When the contract, it's everything in the contract is negotiable. When it comes to the terms, the dates, and you don't not only negotiate a price at the beginning, but throughout the contract, you have other stuff that you have to monitor, you have to be on top of, which are negotiable as well. So the key is understanding a contract. So if you haven't read the contract that we use, the assets purchase contract from beginning to the end, I encourage you guys to sit back one of these afternoons that you don't have a lot to do. Sit back, pour yourself a glass of wine or your favorite beverage, and read the contract. It might sound boring, but you might learn a lot. And also, it'll help you to get familiar with the tool that you're using each and every day when you're negotiating with a client. So you don't want to be cut off, off guard. You want to be able to explain, negotiate, and understand the contract. So negotiating well, obviously, is a vital aspect of it. Now, you have deposits, and you have to be on top of the deposits. Now, when it comes to monitoring deposits, usually a lot of us, let's say that we're working with a seller, right, with a listing agent. Now, the other party, the buyer's agent and the buyer, they make the escrow deposit within the dates that are on the contract. And then how many of us really follow up with the title company? Because sometimes we just get an escrow letter, right? We just got an escrow letter from the title company. But how many of us really follow up with the title company to make sure that the funds became available? Because if you read the letter carefully, it's just saying that the funds it's contingent on the funds clearing from the bank. But we don't know if it cleared or not, because nobody's going to call us and say, hey, it didn't clear. So instead of finding out later on, we should give them a call. Once we can receive the escrow letter, we can call within a day or two to make sure that the funds are clear and we're good to go. So monitoring deposit has to do a lot with that. Making that phone call and following up with the title company to make sure that funds are clear. Same thing goes with inspections. So you wanna make sure that not only when the inspections are if you're working with a buyer, but obviously if you're on the listing side, you want to make sure that the other agent or the buyer, they're aware of the inspection period, what needs to be done. If they can avoid leaving it for the last minute, all that stuff, you want to be on top of it. Just because you're on the selling side doesn't mean that everything's going to be left out for the selling agent. Instead, you want to be hands-on. Timelines and extensions. This is something you need to be aware of and be on top of. For example, our title company, Nations Trust, they help us a lot with keeping up with the timelines, the important dates. If there's another escrow coming up, inspection periods, any extension that needs to be done. So all the dates, they keep up with us, and there's a system for it. but it's good that you yourself do have a system in place that will help you with that. If you're part of Broker Nation Real Estate, we do have a system. It's called Back Agent, which is the one that we use not only for our transactions, but also to keep up with special dates that we need to keep mind of. Title, liens, and permits. Now, this is really important because time is of the essence when it comes to contract. So you want to make sure that everybody is working seamlessly and everybody's on top of their game when it comes to making sure that the permits and liens. And you're gonna see, I'm gonna go over the contract, and you're gonna see some clauses and that we added in there that it might help you with some of these terms and clauses that are within the contract. And you'll see. I'll explain more a little bit on that one. Mortgage pre-qualification. Who can tell me what does that mean? Mortgage pre-qualification.
Is the time that the buyer has to apply for a mortgage loan, not to be approved, but to apply at least.
Exactly. Now, does that mean that only a lender can pre-qualify a buyer?
Are you closing?
Who can answer that? Is the lender the only one qualified to pre-qualify?
No.
No, right? So it's our job to pre-qualify our buyers as well, our clients. And there's a series of questions that we can ask, in a form of conversation that we can get some information on them to make sure they're qualified to buy a property. And when it comes to pre-qualifications and mortgage pre-qualification, you want to make sure that they have what? How's the credit score, right? If they have some savings, how long they've been looking to buy a home, how were the taxes in the last 2 years? And this is just some of the questions or information that you might gather. If they have a job, that's very important to know right now, because a lot of things have changed. If they do have a job, have they been affected by the situation with hours of cut and pay? So all this stuff is very important to know, and this is part of qualification. And then you can go ahead and gather some of that information for them. Yep. Miguel?
Yeah. So something about that, what I learned like past few months is like getting in contact with the lender that I work with, that I work like 3 or 4 lenders, and I get from there different, because all of them have different system. So some of them go for the 42%, income to debt. So if you play with that, it's going to be easier because you go,
Which one?
the
Where?
real one.
Right, which one is that one,
Where
Miguel?
is she working?
For example, if you work with the DHI mortgage, they have a total different way to see the numbers. So I had a couple of clients that I bring there. The one I closed today, they get denied by them. So we went to another lender and they approve in 1 second, because they look for different numbers. So they go for the 42% of the, the income to debt, and the other one go for the 49%, which is higher, because they manage different. So every lender have a different story.
Right. So on that point, when it comes to pre-qualification, obviously that's very technical, and we don't want to get into technicality, because a lot of the time, not only could we get confused ourselves, because there's a lot of lenders that are using different type of system, but we want the basic. We want to know that they have a job, if they have been affected by the situation, at least in this time that we're living. If how's their credit? If it's good, if it's bad, then we can have an idea what's going on. If they have any savings. And that's very important, because now we know what type of program they will qualify for. So all this information, you're gonna need it anyway, because you have to submit it to the lender. So that has to do also with being organized. So the
And
qualification.
also, I think, sorry, Daylan, just to add, I think it's also important to know how much they want to pay, because sometimes they want to look for a house that is very expensive, and they don't even realize that the payment for that house, they don't want to pay that, even if they qualify.
Right. You're absolutely right. All right, so pre-qualification is very important, that we take the time to pre-qualify our clients. We also, third-party communicator. What does that mean? Well, third-party communicator means that we need to be in communication with other vendors that has to do with the transactions. That means the appraiser, the inspector, If we're having a termite inspection, regardless of what type of inspector it is, we want to make sure that we're in communication with everybody. Doesn't matter which side of the transaction you're in, either with a buyer or with a seller. You want to facilitate that communication. So you want to be a third party communicator. Walkthroughs. A lot of us don't, sometimes we figure like if the buyer doesn't want to do it, we don't say anything, but it's very important that we do the walkthrough. Why is it important to do walkthroughs? Who can tell me that?
Because everything, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Everything happened at the last day. So if they go on the house, have any problem, or the owner take anything out of the house that it was on the contract, or I don't know, anything is broken, or I don't know, maybe the day that you're gonna move, the air conditioner is broken, or the roof is leaking, you have to be depending on those stuff, because that's your house, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dylan, I have a lot of questions on that point.
Ultimately.
Like why, I mean, what is like the protections to the buyer if all contingency, like let's say the loan contingency is already up, and after the loan contingency is basically like a cash deal. So now if at the last minute the house is broken or whatever, what is the protection to the buyer? Because he has already give all the deposit. His deposit is now like basically belong to the seller. So now what can the buyer do in that situation?
Well, when you had during the inspection period, you had the initial walkthrough, which means that you went to the property, he saw the property, he's taken the property as is, and there's anything that in there on that initial walkthrough that you guys did during that inspection period, then it's the time to negotiate, right? Pretty much, if you see something that is damaged, or you see something that's wrong with the property, I'm assuming that when you do the initial, when you do your inspection period, you hire an inspector, that person, a home inspector. So that person went over and they did, the inspection for you. Now, what if it's a brand new construction, right? Usually you're not hiring a home inspector. Most of us don't hire a home inspector to go and do it. But there is document that says everything that is in working condition or is not in working condition, and they're telling you what's gonna be fixed. Now, when you do the final walkthrough, it's to make sure that everything is in the same condition as when you saw it during the inspection period. So going back to your question, like what if you did your due diligence, everything seems fine, and if there's anything other that wasn't okay, then you write it down, you have an inspection report. What if on the last walkthrough, the day of the closing, you see that things are missing or things are broken? Well, obviously you have documentation for that, and that's how you protect the buyer. They're getting something, right? That although they're buying as is, when you do your due diligence, all right, if there's anything outside of that due diligence, anything else that that is bad, missing, broken, whatever, you have that documentation that's protecting the buyer. Now, like I said, a contract, you can negotiate a contract from beginning to end. You can negotiate something all the way to the closing date. So if you have a walkthrough and you see that something is wrong with the property, all right, then the seller has a responsibility. Their responsibility is to either fix it, or put it back in the same condition that the buyer saw it, right? Or then you will have to negotiate some other terms. But that's how you protect the buyer. With the walkthroughs, you gotta have a report. If you don't have an inspector, make sure you have something in writing. Walkthrough form. If it's a brand new construction, there is a walkthrough form, and somebody representing the developer will be there, and they're making sure that everything is according to the way they see it initially, and then everything is fixed at the end. Like
in the case that that is not a new construction, everything I saw is new construction, so I know that but the case is not a new construction. How do you manage that? So is the day before the closing or 3 days before the closing?
I like to do it the day before the closing, if possible, not the day off, because everybody's, it's nervous, it's scared. There might be a lot of issues going on. I personally like to do it the day before, because if there's anything that needs to be fixed, anything that is missing, I don't want to close, and then leave everything hanging. I want to make sure that the buyer or seller, they have enough time to fix any issues that they notice on the last walkthrough. So I really like doing it the day before, but at the end of the day, it's really up to them, their availability as well. So you can work around that one. All right, the other point will be to attend the closing and know the HUD and CD statement, prorations, etc. So usually we do get the CD or the HUD or the ALTA a few days before the closing for us to analyze it and to go over with the client. So it's very important that we go over that, go over the numbers, making sure that there are no errors. If anything needs to be changed, there's enough time for title company to fix it, or for everybody to be on the same page. If we can avoid sitting at the closing table and then any problem arising from there, it's not the same thing if you fix it before. So if you can, understand how the ALTA and the CD statement and the proration work, that would be great, because you can explain it to the buyer better. And for that, we do have we have an in-house title company, and we should schedule a training with them on how to read the HUD. I know, we went over that in school and stuff like that, and all of us, those of us that have been doing this for a long time, we're tired of seeing it, but how about explaining it? We do want to go over these terms and how it works, and from the CD. So those are the things that you need to keep in mind during a transaction. Our responsibility, again, is the contract. I know we're working with a buyer or we're working with a seller, but again, we want to, as you know, we are transaction brokers. Most of us are transaction brokers, which means that our main focus is making sure that everything goes smooth and everything goes through with the contract. So a way of me seeing things is I want to make sure that everybody's happy at the end of the day. So that means that I have to negotiate the contract. I have to make sure that sometimes the buyer might be asking for something that is completely crazy, but I have to help the buyer understand, why the terms are a certain way, or why we should do it in a way that it makes sense for him or for her. And then the same thing with the seller. So we want to make sure we're in defense, but we want to make sure, although we're representing one party, we want to make sure that we're representing the contract per se, and making sure that everything's going smooth as possible. So I'm gonna stop sharing this screen, and let me see if I can turn on the contract one. Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, let's see if I can share now. All right, so this is the contract. This is the as-is. Can you guys see it? Yeah, perfect. All right, so this is the as-is residential contract for sell and purchase. A lot of you are familiar with it. There's nothing that you're not familiar with. So all right, so then on the first page, you're gonna have the general information, which is the seller, the buyer, the property descriptions. You want to make sure you put the street address, the folio, what county is located in, and also the legal description of the property. If there's any items, personal items that are staying on the property that you guys are negotiating as part of the contract, you want to make sure you put it in this section here. Anything that's not staying, you want to make sure you take note of that as well. On the purchase price, well, this is the section where you put all that information, all the numbers, purchase price, the escrow deposit, etc. And then you have the information for the title company. Again, we use Nations Trust and Title for Broker Nation Real Estate. That's on the in-house. You're free to use any company you feel comfortable with, but this will be the information that you're gonna put their info. Now, when it comes to time for acceptance and offers and counter offers, so usually here, I get a lot of questions like, okay, so what date should I put here? Well, they're really it all depends on the situation. You know, you might have, for example, I'm going through a contract right now that the seller, he's not in town. So it's my listing. He's not in town. So I got the offer on Sunday, but he won't be able to sign until a week from now. So that means he's not signing until either this Sunday or Monday. And on number 3, they put here that they only give us 3 days. So I had to go back and negotiate that with him, making sure that we're good on timing, since the seller cannot sign, you know, anytime soon. It's gonna take a week from now. So whatever day works in that specific situation, you want to make sure you put it here, and always give yourself some time. On a normal occasion, I always put about three days for them to sign. So today, say today is the 26th. I'll give them until Monday or Tuesday for them to sign. Hopefully send that back, sign, or send us a counter offer. And the closing day is really up to you and the lender. Sometimes we put 30 days, we always put 45 days. Whatever time it is, it's negotiable. One thing I see is a lot of us, or a lot of agents, what they have done is they say, okay, the seller needs to close in 30 days. Okay, or the buyer needs to close in 30 days, but the seller needs a little bit more time. I will put the amount of time that you think it's best, either for the buyer or the seller, but I wouldn't worry about the extensions unless you negotiate that beforehand. For example, let's say that you want to close in 30 days, or you guys want to make sure that the offer gets accepted, but then it might take a little bit more than 30 days. If you put 30 days, it's going to be very attractive. I mean, nobody wants to wait 45, 60 or plus days to close a transaction. So if you were to put 30 days, it looks attractive, but you can also add on additional notes that it might take, or contingencies, or that it might take a little bit longer. And then I would say a week prior to the expiration date, you can always extend the contract. So you might want to add some verbiage into the contract that says that you have the right to extend for whatever reason, and then negotiate the part that making sure that if you're representing the buyer, there's no fees involved. If you can negotiate the no fees involved for extending, that would be great. So that's a way of protecting the buyer and giving them some leeway. But you want to make sure that the closing day is negotiable, and you can work it out with the other agent. You can go again. You can go and read over this. As far as the extension, closing days, the occupancy and possession, it all depends on the type of property that they're buying, obviously. Assignability. Now, what does that mean, assignability? Well, if you read over it, it says that sometimes a contract can be assigned and the buyer is completely released from liabilities under the contract. Sometimes it could be assigned but not released from liability, and sometimes it may not be assigned at all. A lot of us tend to put may not assign this contract. But keep in mind that sometimes the buyer, if it comes to like an investment property, the buyer is getting a property and they're buying it under their name for lending purposes, but they might, during the transaction, change it from their name to to a company name. So keep that in mind that sometimes that will be necessary, and then they don't, although there's gonna be a name change or assignability, they're still liable for the contract. Some other times you're looking at people that are selling a property, and the people that are selling it, they're not the real owner of the property. They're buying the property on paper, but they're actually assigning the property. So you want to be aware of other stuff. So when you see this section right here, obviously that would apply to your specific need or the need of the buyer during that time. Financing. Now, in the financing part, you have Section A, which is the buyer will pay cash for the purchase of the property. For Section B, which is this contract is contingent upon buyer obtaining approval for a loan. When it comes to the cash part of it, now that doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna buy cash, and then this is just a side note on that. Sometimes you can put on a contract that they're buying cash when they're actually buying finance. It could be a hard money lender, it could be finance, conventional. But the point on part A is that the contingency. That means that if the buyer doesn't qualify to buy cash, they can always go to get a loan, but it's now no longer contingent on the loan. That means that they have to close either with cash or some other type of lender for the type of property that will qualify them, but making sure that there's no contingency on a lender. On the B side, it is contingent. So you want to make sure that you pick the right one when it comes to the type of buyer. As far as sometimes when we're talking earlier about pre-qualifications, once you get the buyer pre-qualified, approved, and you have everything set, when you get a contract, a lot of us tend to ask for a DU. As you know, DUs are they're very personal to the buyer, and I don't really like to give out a DU until we do have a contract. That's really up to you. Sometimes depending on what the other agent that we're dealing with in the transaction. Me personally, if I'm the listing agent, I don't ask for a DU up front. If they're putting an offer, I go over the terms first. There's an inspection period anyways. So by the time they finish the inspection period, by that time, I do want to have a DU. I want to make sure that we're still moving forward with the purchase and they are qualified to buy this home. Obviously, but it all depends how they structure the contract and send it to me. On the cash aspect, that's another thing. Usually when I do get an offer that they're buying cash, again, I don't tend to ask for the proof of funds up front. I want them to be on the contract, and once we're on the contract, again, they do have an inspection period. During that inspection period, that's when I'm asking for the proof of funds. I want to make sure that they go through the inspection period, and then I want to make sure that they're going to be able to close on that transaction. There's a lot of ways. Again, there's a lot of ways to qualify the buyer, making sure that they're good to go, ready, willing, and able. But that's my way. I mean, you might have a way that you want to be for sure, depending on what type of situation you're running with your listings or what the type of buyer you're working with. But again, me personally, I ask for proof of funds after we're on the contract because we have a contract. And since there's an inspection period, I mean, they can break out of the deal at any minute, and then that's why I don't even bother sometimes to ask for all this information just to have it on my end. But again, that's really up to you.
I got a question in there, Dylan. So that's on the listing side, but if you are representing the buyer, you're gonna ask for this proof of funds, right? Because you don't want to.
Yeah, right. When you're with a buyer, you want to make sure your buyer is pre-qualified, whether he's buying cash or whether he's buying finance. You want to pre-qualify the buyer. If they're buying cash, again, there's ways to pre-qualify the buyer. You want to make sure they do have the funds to purchase. If they can provide you with proof of funds, that would be great, and you can negotiate that with the buyer, letting them know that once you submit an offer, they're going to ask for a proof of funds. So why waste the time, the seller's time? Why waste your time? Why waste their time? Because they're going to be looking for property. So when you pre-qualify the person, you want to make sure they have the funds, finance or cash. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, perfect. So moving right along, let's see, that's paragraph 8 on the financing. Closing costs, title insurance, survey, home warranty. In this part of closing costs, fees and charges. If you're working with the seller, which is section A on section 9, the A part. So this one has to do with the seller. In this section, when it says other, that's where I usually put the transaction fee. So if your office, there's a transaction fee for broker nature real estate, which is $399. Are you charging the seller in the transaction? This is exactly where you put it. If you're working for any other company, this is the section where you put it. You want to make sure you add it to this section, and they know that it has to do with the closing costs and fees, and you put transaction fee due to broker nature real estate. So this is the section for that. And now if you're working with a buyer, this will be this section where you put the information for the transaction fee. Okay, so on this section here, seller designates closing agent, buyer will designate closing agent. Usually I mark on the Miami day 1, but make sure that if you pick one of this, make sure that the buyer or the seller understands who's paying for what and what's included. So that's on the who's paying title. Special assessment. Let me see if we had Marta joining us a few days ago, and she went over exactly the meaning of this section of special assessment based on a case, something that she saw during a closing, something that happened with that specific agent. But special assessment, what does that mean? Special assessment in here, a lot of agents, they tend to confuse this with special assessment with an association. Now, this here is not really talking about an association. If you read, it says it's a public body, does not include a condominium or homeowner association. So when this is talking mainly about a public body, meaning the county or any that's imposing any liens or a full amount of liens imposed by a county. So this section here, if the seller has any information on that, they have to disclose it, and they will disclose it. If they don't have it, a lot of us tend to put this section here, it was the seller shall pay assessment in full prior to or at the time of closing. I always mark the B section, but I find that a lot of agents, when I send this to them, they confuse this section with an HOA. And I try to explain it to them, but for safety reasons, I don't know or why not, they always put this. But you want to make sure you guys we're all on the same page, and want to make sure that if she's putting this section A, that if they put that, they have to disclose if they know of any special assessment happening in that area, because ultimately then your buyer will be paying for it. So you want to make sure what do they mean by when they mark this section A. Disclosures, again, this is go by random gas permits, disclosures. Let's see, 10. Let me scroll down real quick to number 12. Number 12, it has to do with property inspection and the right to cancel. If you leave it blank, it's 15 days. That's a given. Now, when you're negotiating, let's say a single family home, I usually, to make it attractive, again, I like to put between 7 days, no more than 10 days. It doesn't really take that long to get an inspector out there and then do the inspection of the property. But when you were the buyer and the seller sees that, okay, you're sending, you're not making it, although it's contingent, you have an inspection period, which is your buyout clause as well. You also want to make sure that you're not giving them much time, which means that they might worry that the buyer might, get out of the contract earlier and not cancel, and then you wasted everybody's time. So I usually, on single family homes, I like to put between 7 to 10 days. I usually go for 7 or 5 or 7. And when it comes to condominiums, because it involves other parties, you want to make sure the condominium is good and good standing, and they have some reserve or whatnot. So that's what I go, maybe a little bit more. Maybe I do 10 days. Rarely I'll go to 15 days. But usually those are my time frames, 7 to 10 days. And especially nowadays that everybody wants to buy, but they also want to sell quick. I don't want to hold anybody back. So 7 days I think is more than enough, and it's still safe. 10 days, actually, that'll be a sweet spot. But if you look here on the end part, let's see if it's here. And then we're gonna go over about this at the end of the contract. This section here, section C, it says seller assistance and cooperation and closeout of building permits. This section of the paragraph says if buyer's inspection of the property identifies open or needed building permits, then seller shall promptly deliver to buyer all plans, written documentation, or other information in seller's possession, knowledge, or control relating to improvement to the property, which are the subject of such open or needed permits, and shall promptly cooperate in good faith with buyer's effort to obtain estimates of repairs or other work necessary to resolve such permit issues. Seller's obligation to cooperate shall include seller's execution of necessary authorizations, consents, or other documents necessary for buyer to conduct inspections and have estimates of such repairs or work prepared. But in fulfilling such obligation, seller, this is key, shall not be required to expend or become obligated to expend any money. So in other words, this is saying that if there's any open permit violations, any issues with the property, he's obligated to provide or facilitate documentation or stuff related to that if he has it to the buyer. but he's not obligated to pay anything for those repairs. So why am I mentioning this? And let me scroll down all the way now to the end. If you look here on section 20, additional terms, it says, notwithstanding paragraph 12A of the contract, seller shall be responsible for any violation of governmental, building, environmental, and safety codes, restrictions, or requirements. Seller shall be responsible to close any open, expired code citations, code violations, and or open or expired permits. These provisions shall survive the inspection period. Seller will deliver clear and marketable title to the buyer at closing. Now, what kind of protection does this give you? Can everybody tell me? If you go back to number 12 and you see what this says and how we change it at the end, what kind of protection does that give you?
That means that you're protecting the buyer. If anything happened, then he has to fix it, because in here it says that he's not obligated to fix it. And then if he signed that, then he has to comply with all the anything that happened with the house that is not in compliance with the city or anything that is.
Absolutely. So now all this is saying right here is that if you go back and you leave it alone and you don't add this, you just leave it alone, that means that, like what my dear just said, anything can come up later, right? In the contract, let's say you have 7-day inspection period. Okay, you go over your inspection period, let's say 20 days later or 15 days later, way after your inspection period, then something comes up. It's just saying that the seller is not responsible for that. They're gonna help you facilitate documentation, paperwork, anything needed, not money related. But then the buyer doesn't have that much money to fix for anything. And if the seller knew about this and they didn't take the time to fix it, again, like I said at the beginning, everything is negotiable when it comes to the contract. So this term that was added as an extension of number 12, it's negotiable as well. Now, all it's saying is that aside from the seller facilitating documentation to the buyer, if there's any, in the event there's any code violation, or any liens for that matter, you want to make sure that if it comes after, you can still go back and negotiate this, because otherwise you're still tied to the contract. So this here, it gives you an added protection to the buyer in the contract. So we had our attorney review it and went over it, and they added this verbiage that you see right here. So that's very good to have. Now, if you're with us in Broker Nation, if you're using .loop, that's included in the forms. If you're using Form Simplicity, it's not included in there, but you can always include it, and we'll help you do that as well. So the forms, all forms, eventually will have this added verbiage to the contract. That way you always have it. If it doesn't have it, make sure you do add it, because again, you're providing extra protection to the buyer, and you can explain to them what it is. Now, some issues I've had is that a lot of listing agents, they get the contract, don't even bother understanding what the meaning of this, and they tend to go ahead and scratch all over it and make their own notations, and without taking the time to even understand what this says. As you know, we're not even allowed to do that. So it's good to have that type of communication and talk with the other listing agent if you see that they do that, because technically, one, they're not supposed to. Second, this doesn't say anything else other than providing additional protections, and this can go back and be negotiated afterwards. Backtracking a little bit, everything else here, it will be good for you guys to read over it. It has to do with let me go back here to where I left off. Understanding the work of the escrow agent, the broker, our liability as broker, and what protects us and what the buyer should expect from us. Default, dispute, how to handle that. The type of resolutions, attorney fees and costs, the standards of real estate transactions, what the standards are when it comes to title eversense, restriction easements. If there's any easements on the property, if you're on the seller side, it's good to make sure that the seller knows all these little details or any disclosures on the property. If you're on the buyer side, you want to make sure that everything is disclosed as well. One way to kind of like cover yourself when it comes to disclosures and stuff, will be to making sure if you're the listing agent, you do have a seller's disclosure. Sometimes we get the listing, we're super excited, but we forget to give them the seller disclosure and have them fill it out to the best of their knowledge. And if we're working with a buyer, sometimes we even forget to ask for the seller's disclosure. So this is very important. It's definitely recommended. So make sure you do have a seller's disclosure. And once you have the seller's disclosure, make sure that it's signed and approved by both buyer and seller. So if you have if you had one from your seller, make sure the buyer, approves it, initials and signs, because you're gonna need it for when you uploading everything. If you're with us with Broker Nation, it's gonna be uploaded at the end of the closing or during the transaction. But that's a way of protecting yourself. Make sure you always ask for a seller disclosure. Moving along, you have the title examinations, part of the standard for real estate transactions, what the buyer seller should know. Surveys, ingress, egress, lease information. Now, if you go all the way to the end, this section right here, the addendums or addendums. So addenda and additional terms. If you mark anything here, let's say you're working with a condominium, and so you mark the condominium writer, and you don't send it along with the contract, what happens? You don't have a contract. So you want to make sure that if you mark any of this, you're basically saying that that's part of the contract. Without that, you don't have a contract. And or let's say that you have FHA, you have condominium, or you have homeowners insurance, whichever it is. You want to make sure you have all that stuff included. Anything you mark here has to be included in your contract. Otherwise, you might have a signed contract, but if you don't have this documentation, you don't have a contract. And let's say that you have a contract, the contract is signed, it was signed today, but then the last document here, let's say a condominium rider or an FHA financing addendum, it wasn't signed until Sunday. That makes the effective day, which date? It will make it for Sunday. Let me see something here. So yeah, so you want to make sure that if you sign, you or if you're working with a seller and the buyer's agent, they put any of this, you want to make sure you have that documentation with you, because without it, basically you don't have a contract. And if they sign days after, the effective day will be the last day that I was signed on this document. So that's very, very, very important. So again, that's the contract pretty much. I encourage everybody to go over it. This section right here, cooperating sales associate, broker, listing sales associate, listing broker. So again, I put the information here. I say I'm the sales associate. I always like to put my commission. Let me just type this out. All right, so I like to put my commission either next to my name or where the company is at, but I want to make sure that it's on my side. So if the MLS says that it's going to be 3%, I want to make sure it goes in there. Why I like to do that? Well, because sometimes if they updated the MLS and I saw that it was a one number and then they changed it later, I don't want to have any issues. So what I saw is what I'm telling them in the contract. Now, if they sign off on that, obviously they approve that amount, and so I think it's very important if you can to add it to there. I personally like doing it. I don't worry about the other side because that's not my problem. I worry on what they were advertising that they were gonna pay out. And that's it for the contract pretty much. Again, I encourage you to read over it. And let me see if I can stop sharing this so I can.
Thailand, what is, somebody's asking, but I have the same question. What is condominium rider?
Condominium rider. Okay, so a condominium rider is the one that tells you the fees that are paying on a monthly. Let's say that it tells you the name of the condominium, some of the terms. For example, if you have to apply to an association, if the purchase is contingent to an approval from the association, if they have to sign off on that, if there's any membership that you're obligated to purchase, and obviously the amount. So regarding that, that's really important to have those numbers up front. For example, I had an agent that they got a listing the seller told them, oh no, the fee is $218. That's what we pay every month. But they had increased the dues, the monthly fees for the association to $330 because they had a special assessment, but they didn't put it as a special assessment. They put it as part of the monthly fees. Now they put 18, and that's what the agent put. But then when the entire transaction went through, they sent the condominium writing, they sign off on that. The math on those on the buyer side, they did everything based on the association being 218. What happened at the end? The buyer, when they got the estoppel and everything, it was a different number. So now that created a problem because that extra amount of money, it wasn't helping the buyer qualify. So it was the seller's mistake or the seller's agent mistake, because they didn't check. But it's very important that they do check that the numbers are accurate. I like to always ask for something from the association, a statement or something to make sure that those are the right numbers. But yeah, that's what the condominium writer does. It gives you information up front on how the association works. And you're gonna get an estoppel anyways. So it's good that if you do get an estoppel, you go over that with the buyer as well, so they understand.
Dylan, and that condominium writer, for example, if you represent the buyer, do you fill it out at the beginning, or is the seller? I mean, you
Condominium writer,
mark. Uh-huh.
the condominium writer, you submit that at the beginning. So, like I said, if you fill it out, if you put in your contract and you mark the condominium writer, you want to make sure that you do send it along with the contract. Otherwise, you don't have a contract. Now,
But I mean, if you represent the buyer, you don't know those numbers. So it's not the seller, the one that should.
the seller provides it. Yeah, the seller provides it. So you do get an estoppel letter. An estoppel letter, it's a form or that the association provides. Obviously, they have to pay for that, but it's a form the association provides that tells you exactly if the seller has defaulted, if they owe anything to the association, or if they're up to date, if there's any special assessment, if what are the monthly fees they specify, because this form is filled out by the association. So when you get it, let's say you're working with a buyer, if you're not sure what the numbers are from the condominium writer that the seller sent you, the buyer, you as an agent, it's your responsibility to make sure that you do get that estoppel letter, because that's your way of confirming that the numbers are correct, and those numbers need to be submitted also to the lender. So you do
And
need
that
to
estoppel letter, you receive it like in the beginning?
you do
or
receive it at the
when do you-
beginning. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's say you're working with a buyer, right? You're working with a buyer. When you submit your contract, if you're buying the property is in a condominium, you want to send the condominium writer. So you want to add it to your contract.
Okay.
Okay. And the seller, and you're gonna put in the information that you put in there is basically what they're advertising in the MLS. So if you look at the MLS, there's a section that says HOA, the monthly fees or dues or association. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. When you submit your offer, you're basically using the numbers that you see in the MLS for the association or monthly fees, or if there's any membership, you're gonna add it into your condominium writer. Now you send that with the offer. Now the other side, the seller side, and the agent, they need to revise the offer and all the addendums that you have added. When they look at the condominium addendum and they see that the number is wrong, it's their job to fix it. If they know for sure, obviously, it's their job to fix that, and they need to make sure that the seller knows what the number is. And usually, if you're with the seller side, I like to ask for a statement or something from the association. Associations usually they send you a booklet every year of how much the fees are. So make sure you have the latest, and or whatever information you can get from the MLS. Now, to your question, your way of knowing for sure that the fees are correct is when you do get that estoppel letter from the association. When you get that estoppel letter that the title company is going to send that request to the association, then you do get it. So, and then you collaborate, make sure that what the fees are, what the numbers are, and that's a way of knowing. So if the agent was wrong or right, then, you'll know the numbers for sure. Any
I
other
have,
question?
yeah, I have a question.
Diana, I'm sorry, I see you, or, I'm sorry, you've been having your hand out for a little bit.
Well, I'm not sure how it works. So is it okay to ask questions or because they
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so you gave an example. I'm new, so you gave an example about how you added on line 12. You showed it a couple screens ago that to protect yourself about the assessments. So is it just about the apartment itself or the building? Because I'm actually in a situation where I'm trying to make an offer on something. So here's the thing. I got my license, but it's not hanging anywhere, right? But I found this condo and so the selling agent already from doing your webinar, I'm getting mixed vibes because he said that everything is included in it's normal, but you said if you don't put it there. So does that include like if the building has violations and if there's liens on the building itself, or is that just for the unit?
We're talking about special assessment, right? On that I show you in the contract?
Yeah.
Okay, that section has nothing to do with associations or the building itself or any special assessment. When we hear the word special assessment, we're thinking that the association, they put an assessment on the building to cover for any violation or any or like painting or sidewalk, whatever they're doing in the community, that that's an extra fee that they're charging for us to pay. But that special assessment section that you see there has nothing to do with an association. That has to do with the county or the city, that they're imposing some assessment to better the street, or they're doing new sidewalks or creating a new corner or something like that in the outside, whatever is maintained by the county. If it's community wise, it's not gonna be there. They will have to disclose it, and it will be disclosed in the seller disclosure, or when you send the association, the condominium rider. There's a section in the condominium rider that says if there's any special assessment. Now, you might not know about this, but once you submit your offer and you're making it also contingent on that condominium rider, they have to provide you that information.
So does the condominium rider cover, because see, I called the association like anonymously, but they said they only give that information to the owners. But what they did tell me was that there were liens on the building and there were code violations. So is that condominium rider gonna protect me against
It won't protect you. What it's saying pretty much is that it's gonna disclose any information on that. So there's really no, it's not like it's gonna, it is and it won't. I mean, it protects you in the sense that you're getting the information. So now it's up to the buyer to consider if they wanna move forward with that purchase or not.
So in the verbiage would have to be that it's contingent on that, right? Like if I don't like the kind of violation it has, I can get out of it. Can I put that in the verbiage?
Yeah. So, for example, on the section that I showed you at the end, that talks about any code violations or anything like that. When it comes to like a single family home, obviously that's covered by the seller. When it's outside of that, that gives you that protection as well. So it's good to have it regardless of what type of property you're buying, because if it comes up, then it supersedes. Okay, it supersedes the section 12, which is the inspection period. So let's say that comes out 20 days later, and you had a 10-day inspection period that comes up after. That's where your protection comes in, because maybe that's something that's outside of the seller's responsibility or control, because it's the association, it's not his particular unit.
Yeah.
So, but you still have that same protection. So yeah,
So
you have to add that verbiage at the end.
You can add another line from, I read yours.
You don't have to. You don't have to. And that same line that I showed you at the end on additional terms, it will help you as well. It's the same thing.
So that means with that line, if I use it the way you wrote it, I could get out of it if I don't like the code violation it has?
Right? Because it's out of your control and it's out of the seller's control if he's not going to cover it.
Okay. So if you don't have that verbiage, it's not automatic then. I thought it was automatic. So.
No, it's not. a lot of them tend to like, like, okay, work with you, but you can always find somebody that can, be very difficult, and tell you, listen, this is what you signed up for. You should have done your due diligence during the inspection period, not after.
So can I ask you one more question?
Absolutely. Right.
Um, I just want to leave time for everybody, but like, so in the unit, the guy broke a wall down. Now it's actually an improvement to the unit. It's very nice, but he did not do it with a permit. If I were to buy this place, could the association fine me for having touched that? Well, I bought it that way, but could they make me put the unit back with the wall up because the guy got rid of the wall?
The association?
Or somebody is there a
Well,
problem that I could foresee?
well, it depends. There's some variables. So to the answer, it all depends. But let's say that it's just a drywall work, like it's just a wall, nothing related to electrical or plumbing or stuff like that. Usually, there's really no need for a permit. If you go to the county and you ask, hey, do I need a permit for that? Obviously, they're gonna tell you yes. But does it require? Is somebody gonna make you put it back? Not really. You can do modifications inside the house, when as long as it's not involving plumbing or electrical, that could affect the property.
Well,
But
it didn't affect the electrical. It looks like it's working, but they moved it. They moved the panel, which to me is a big, to me
yeah,
probably needed a
moving the panel, now that's another story. So obviously, yeah, I would definitely do my due diligence on that to make sure that if the buyer accepts, that's really the buyer. But you
but
want to make sure
but
that if they do accept it, they have something in writing. You
so
don't want that to
but
come
if
back
they
to you.
accept, could it be a nightmare? Is what I'm asking, like for the
It
buyer.
could. It could. I mean, it shouldn't, but you can ask information on who moved it, if they were licensed, electrician. You can cover yourself some other ways. So as the more information you can get on the company that did it or why they did it, and making sure that they did it correctly. Again, that's part of the due diligence, making sure that if you see that and it was disclosed, that making sure that it was done correctly. And obviously, when you send the inspector over, they're gonna check for that stuff. So that's how you protect yourself. Now, what happens afterwards? If the buyer is taking it as is, there's not much that anybody can do there. Did I answer your question?
No, you did. Thank you very much. It's just still confusing because I find that there's an area here that's always like a gray area, and I like things so clear, like black and white. And it's like, because in this case, I'm the buyer, so it's like I don't want to buy a headache. And
So you're buying it, okay?
they didn't do it with permits or anything, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to get the information. So, will it be just enough to get an inspection? And if the inspector says okay, should I feel safe, or I don't want to overthink it either, but I don't want to buy a nightmare.
No, I get it. So it all depends how you feel. I mean, obviously you're the buyer in this case, but the inspector should tell you if they use the right cables, if they did it correctly, optical, maybe they didn't ask for a permit, but they did it correctly, you shouldn't have any issues. Now, if you foresee something happen, that maybe because you're doing something inside the house, some modification that they do require permit. If they didn't do the change of the panel correctly, or by code or something like that, you could run into issues, because once, if you have an inspector go in there in the county or something like that, and they see that and they know that they can obviously see that it's not done correctly, they might tell you something. But honestly, if it's just a matter of moving it to one place and they did it correctly, and you have the backing of the inspectors telling you that did it correctly, I don't foresee any problem with that.
Okay, thank you. So that can be found in the inspection period, right? The inspector will
Yeah,
tell.
yeah. Make sure during the inspection period, if you know that, point that out, so they make sure that it's correct, and they can give you any information related to that issue.
Cool. Thank you.
Are you still under your inspection period, correct?
I haven't even made the offer yet because
Oh,
I was trying. I was supposed to make it this weekend because they have so many violations, and the building looks bad, and when I went to look at it again, like there's all these plumbers there, and there's a leak in the in the bathroom, so it's kind of scary, you know. Because now I'm learning that it's really the buyer, like, because the seller, the listing agent said, oh, whatever problems there is, it's for the seller, but I'm seeing by doing this webinar that it's not that easy, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so like I said, from the beginning, everything is negotiable. You want to make sure that when you do your initial walkthrough, yeah, you're looking at the house, you're looking at the space, everybody's excited, they love the property, perfect. But then you fully take advantage of the inspection period. Because if you notice anything, and sometimes the other side is not very helpful, we can assume that they're providing other information. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of that inspection period to, we definitely recommend having an inspector going over. If you see any issues with the property that you're pointing out, for example, that you point it out to them and have them really look into that to make sure it's done correctly. For that same reason, you want to avoid possible issues later on after you move into the property. And obviously, electrical is a big issue. So, let them know if, hopefully your offer gets accepted. And when you do your inspection, make sure that, the inspector knows about that. They can go over it. Any other question?
Thank you. Thank you, Diane.
All right, not a problem. So yeah, guys, make sure that if where everybody was able to get the last that the term that we added in additional terms, that clause is very important for you to have it. If you don't, feel free to give us a call. We'll walk you through it. Any questions you might have, if you don't have any questions now, come to mind. Feel free to give us a call. My phone number, I'm gonna put it here, is 305, and my name is Dylan Ruiz. So it's 305-873-4406. My name is Dylan Rubido. You can send me an email also. Let me write it down here. It's Dylan, my first name, at brokernation.net.
You had a webinar the other day. It was really good, but I caught it at the very end. Are you going to be redoing it? It was about using social media for promotion in real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, are you there?
Yeah, hi, Diana. That was me that did that webinar. I'm Steve. I'm the marketing director for Broker Nation. I work with a lot of our real estate agents to bring them up to speed with a lot of online strategies and marketing and lead generation, social media. And we have, in the last year and a half, opened up our trainings to all Miami real estate agents, just like Daylon here is opening this up to all Miami realtors. So yes, I make those available to everyone that requests it. It's only available by request, so consider yourself requested. I would just ask if you can drop me an email, or I suppose you could drop it in the chat here. I'll check the chat here too. But email me at steve@brokernation.net and I'll send you the recording for that. And anyone else that's listening too, that same goes for you guys. If you guys have any requests for any of our past trainings, we've done a lot of them on Google, Facebook, Instagram, social media. We've done them on Hyperlocal. We did Hyperlocal 101 and 102 last week. If you guys have been listening in, we did quite a few, so feel free to request those. And I will send those. I only send them by request, though. I've been asked, do we send them to other outside agents outside of our brokerage? And the answer is yes, but only by request.
Okay, well, thank you, because I got the end and it was amazing, and I was like, wow, this is awesome, but I missed the beginning.
Okay, well, I thank you. I'm really glad, Diana, that you got some value out of that, because we work real hard to make sure that we provide value to you guys. So thanks for that.
Thanks, Steve. So yeah, make sure if you do want the recording, send an email to Steve at brokernation.net. I put my information in the chat as well. If you need to send me an email or give me a call about the contract or anything related to a transaction, something like that you need help with, feel free to give us a call. We'll be more than happy to help. Our office or brokerage is called Broker Nation Real Estate. We do have an office in North Miami, and we have an office in Doral. I'm the broker for the Doral office, which is located on 102nd Avenue, Northwest and 25th Street. So our office is open and we're here to serve you. If you have any questions or need any help related to transactions or anything or any guidance you might need. Stay tuned with us. We have a website, www.brokernation.events. We post all the events that we're having in that site. And then you can go there, you can see what's coming up, and then you can, join in, and then you're gonna get the Zoom or the invitation, your private invitation, so you can attend that training. So that's www.brokernation.events. Diana, all the events that we do again, like the one that you wanted to see again, they'll be posted in that site. So you will get an email invite. We'll make sure you stay tuned on that site for any upcoming trainings and events that we might be having.
And where's your office in North Miami Beach?
The one in North Miami, Steve, what's the address there?
The North Miami one is 1801 Northeast 135th Street in North Miami. I'll put the address in the chat. And any of you that would like more information, I'm putting our address in the chat too for our website. You can go to joinbrokernationre.com. It's got all our locations and all the information about the way we operate, our programs and everything. We're 100% shop. We're 100% commission. And we, as you know, from what Daylon and I do here, we do a ton of training. We got a ton of tools, and we got a killer revenue sharing program that we're very, very proud of.
Steve, it's Northeast 123rd.
Oh, what did I say? 135th?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
123rd.
That's where I live.
I stand corrected, Jane. You're right. I got put on the spot, and I live in Broward, by the way. So I go down to Miami every day usually, and I don't know Miami like you guys do. Thanks for the correction.
The complete address is 1801 Northeast 123 Street, Suite 421. That's in North Miami, Florida 33181. Right. That's for the North Miami office. We have an office in Doral, and the address for that one is 2555 Northwest 102nd Avenue, Suite 100, Doral, Florida 33172. Again, we're here for you if you need any questions or if you'd like to know more about the company. We're all happy to explain and go over some of the amazing tools and trainings and how to build a career with real estate. I mean, that's what we're all about, and that's what we want for all of you guys. So I want to thank you again for joining us today, for staying all the way to the end with us and going over the contract. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to help you guys out.
I have a message here from someone. I don't know his name here, but he says we should have an office in Palm Beach County, Daylon. So I agree.
We're open to that.
Boca. We should be in Boca. Yep. Maybe that'll be our next one.
We're definitely open for that.
And forgive me, I don't know your name. It's
There'll be a lot of commercial real estate available, so that's probably very doable in Boca.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, maybe that'll be on the agenda for the future, the near future, because we are expanding, and you never know. Right, Daylon?
We're definitely looking to expand. So if you have anything, ideas or locations or anything like that, please give me a call and we'll talk. We're definitely looking to expand.
Steve, this is Tehera that you can pronounce my name. You can go to Layla. So Layla is my nickname, and I really enjoyed this the webinar, and seems to be you are great brokerage. But unfortunately, you're so far, and sometimes when you need assistance, it's going to be so inconvenient to go.
I understand.
I'm with Cover Banker, and I am trying to change the brokerage because their commission is very high. And but as I said, you're too far.
I understand. And for what it's worth, we're kind of neighbors. I'm in Coconut Creek, Deerfield area, so I'm not far from you, and I feel your pain. I go down to the office in North Miami, well, I was every day. until before COVID. And I understand, I really do. But like we said, we are growing, and you never know. We might be in Boca soon, sooner than you think.
Well,
And
actually,
And
we do have a satellite office in Coral Spring. So it's a little bit closer, I think, and which it will turn into a branch pretty soon. So
yeah,
we're looking for something like that. I mean, we could talk, and then you can look into that.
it still is too far because
Still too far.
I live just by the beach, close, very
Mm,
close to the beach. Coral Spring is about 45 minutes drive for me.
right, going west.
right.
Yeah.
And by the way, those of you that do appreciate what we do as far as these trainings and everything, we recognize that moving from one brokerage to another is a life decision. It's a big deal. We understand that. So all we ask is that if you do know anyone that is thinking about moving, keep us in mind, recommend us. You know what we're about, what our values are, what we stand for, and how we give to our agents and give value. So just spread the word, spread the love, and you know, we'll continue to give love to you guys and provide value and do these things and put it out into the community, the South Florida real estate agent community.
Okay, and can I ask you a question? Because Corporate Banker is giving us a lot of, they have a desk, their tool calls Desk. And through that tool, we have plenty of applications that we can use, such as Dotloop, such as Prospectus Square, such as Moxie. I mean, it's great. It's great tool, to be honest. Do you offer such a tools too in your company, or we have to pay for them?
We do have a lot of tools that are included in when you become part of Broker Nation agent. Now, some of those tools includes back agents. You have Shine, which is a system software that we're using as a CRM. Very powerful. Steve can, you know, he's been having a lot of trainings exactly how to use this tool that can definitely catapult, you know, your business to another level. Steve, I want to talk a little bit on that one, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard, by the way, really good things about Moxie. I've only read about it, and it is, from what I see, you know, a very high-end system. So I don't want to. I'd love to hear more about that. In fact, we use Chime, and as you know, I'm a big fan of the three big ones that I talk about are Chime, KV Core, and Property Base. I got nothing but good, positive things to say about that. And I would add Moxie in there, but we use Chime CRM. And all of these, all four of these are technology platforms for real estate agents that are an IDX website with a very powerful CRM with marketing automation and all kind of stuff baked into it. So ours is Chime. The administrator for the Chime system is yours truly, me. So I know quite a bit about it. I work with all of our realtors directly. If they have any questions, they come to me about it. I administrate it, I run it, and I run the trainings for it. And I run it myself. I actually do lead generation and build websites in it myself and my team. So if you have any questions about that, I'm always open to answer questions. I'd be happy to. And I don't know too much about Moxie, but I hope that answers your question. Yes, we do have our own technology stack, we call it, in technology and marketing stack, we call it. And it's just a little bit different than the Caldwell Banker one, but it's very powerful and we're proud of it, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
If we need to get a hold of you, we use email, or do you have a telephone number as well?
Both. My cell phone number is actually on all my emails that I reply back to you on. So if you email me and I reply back, you'll find my cell phone number. I've been working from home for the last 10 weeks since COVID. So, you know, that's the best way to reach me. And we have an office line, of course, that any of us can be reached through. There is someone there in the office. We're, of course, being safe, and we don't have a lot of people. We got a very big office, by the way, and a big, beautiful office with not a lot of people in it since COVID. But I'd be happy to, I'll drop that in the chat too, our office number and my direct line. And Dayline, you want to drop the office number for Doral? I'm going to drop the office number for North Miami.
There's the office number for Doral as well, and the address.
Is the CRM, it's like, does it end up belonging to you, or do I keep my own contacts once I populate it?
That's a good question. And this is a common thing with CRMs. Everybody always asks this, who owns the data? Who owns the data when you're done with it?
Well, I
So the,
spent a lifetime of getting it.
right, right. All of us are. So the answer is, it is all of these systems, the three, I don't know how Moxie works, but the three that I always talk about are all brokerage models. And the broker, us, owns and administrates the data technically. There's a bunch of safeguards built into the system where you can make your leads private so that even I can't see them. And when you leave the brokerage, you do have the ability to take those leads with you. You know, we export it, we give it to you in whatever format you want. And, you know, we don't, you know, want to keep it or anything like that. And we've done that before. We've given that to anybody that asks in our other systems too in KV Core. So you do own the data yourself, but you need to be aware that no matter what CRM you use, whoever is running the CRM also, you know, kind of technically owns that data too, or at least has some kind of access to it. But that's not uncommon in any of these cloud solutions for CRM nowadays. Unless you own your own server and run it off your own on-premise server, then that's kind of the way that always works.
Excellent.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that was great. Thank you very much. Can you divide the CRM into, like, I mean, just...
We divide it into teams. To answer your question, I think it might be what you're asking, is we break it down into multiple teams. Our smallest team is a team of 1, and our largest is a team of about 30 or 35 people. And we have several teams of everything in between, and we sort of work around a team model. We like to recruit and bring on experienced agents that either have a team already in place or want to build a team. And then I work directly with them on lead generation strategies and social media strategies and kind of disseminate that down through the team. That works very efficiently. But if you don't have a team and you just want to be independent, we sort of put you in the group with the, you know, the brokerage is sort of the general team by itself.
But I mean, the automated stuff, like if you want to specialize in luxury, but you also want to do like Section 8 distressed, can you have things going to different people? Like, can you separate like, let's say you have 2 identities. Can you separate them?
You can. I mean, of course, it's one website, and these websites are designed to work like your own personal Zillow. You know, so you could make landing pages, and we teach that a lot, to make landing pages for buildings or for a niche of some kind and drive traffic to that. And you could turn those landing pages into a collection of landing pages that operates like what we call a microsite, a mini website. So you could do it that way, and the system is built to be really good at building those, especially community landing pages with blocks that you build one on top of the other to build out the landing page. So I hope that answers your question, but you could do it that way. That being said, it is just kind of one big website, but you have the ability to sort of partition it out through these landing pages.
Yep.
And so by that, you mean you basically share the leads you create with your agents?
Well, for the brokerage leads, yes. You know, for the leads, usually they come in through that channel. So we got a lot of channels that leads come in. They come in through the brokerage level. They might come in through the team level, or they might come in through the individual agent level. And, you know, we have ways and strategies in place to generate leads through all of those.
Because we have no such a thing.
You know, that being said, I got to be careful and not overpromise that we're, you know, a brokerage that gives, you know, just gives leads away. You know, I don't want to, you know, go that far and overpromise that. But we do work hard to put strategies in place and we're getting, you know, building that up more and more, I would say, over time, where we're getting better and better at generating leads and empowering our people to generate their own leads. So we got building all these pipelines, you know, that are all coming in into the brokerage.
One thing that we pride ourselves in doing is that not only we're giving you the tools so you can generate that can generate leads. You know, you can participate if the company is giving you leads, but we're teaching you exactly how to get those leads as well by optimizing, you know, your listings. If you're putting, like, let's say Section 8 properties, or you're putting any type of property you want to put in there, you can always optimize it. And one thing that this software or this CRM includes, it's unlimited amount of landing pages and squeeze pages. And ultimately, those are the ones that work for you by attracting those leads. So not only we're giving you the tools, but we're teaching you exactly how to do it. So you can do it for yourself, and eventually you create your own pipeline. And Steve is really good at putting this trainings together for you. So
Then come to Boca.
Sorry?
I said, come to Boca, please.
Come to Boca. I used to live in Boca. I love Boca. We might be there soon. Maybe I'll start one up there.
Okay, thank you.
we're gonna be looking into Boca.
Any other these are all great questions, by the way. I appreciate you guys participating and engaging in these questions. Any other questions for Daylon or myself?
How did you guys start this up? It's the two of you that started this?
No, actually, our founder and president and the broker of the North Miami office is Armando Romero. So he's our big guy boss, and he's not here on this one, but he's the brain. He's the one that had the brainchild for this entire thing, and he really started it around a concept of revenue sharing. So we don't really talk about that a lot because, you know, we realize that people want the lead generation, the social media, and all that stuff. But one thing we're really proud of is our killer lead generation program. It's not profit sharing, it's revenue sharing. And we take the money that we earn and put a portion of it back in the pockets of our agents. So he founded he had this idea for this, I think 7 or 8 years ago, and then founded the company just, 3 or 4 years ago, Daylon?
Yeah, the company was founded in 2017. That's when that we opened. The idea actually was running for a few years prior to that, putting it together, analyzing the market, analyzing the type of structure that will actually help our agents. Our formula is pretty much based on compensation, career, and the tools. So I think every agent should be empowered to, you know, build a career out of this business, something that will pay you, you know, regardless if you're selling or not selling, and we'll teach you exactly how to do that, and that's called the revenue sharing. And the way it works is that we don't see our agents or you know, another realtor in our firm. We see you guys as a partner with us. That means that, you know, you're gonna help us grow, we're gonna help you grow, and we're in this together. You know, the company will grow as much as you wanna grow. So again, we empower our agents to do that. We've been very blessed to have, you know, a great team in place, an amazing marketing director. I mean, he's been dedicating a lot of time to help our agents, and all of our trainings that you can see, they're open to not only for our agents and Broker Nation, but to everybody. You know, anybody that wants to learn, they want to grow, they want to do better in this business, this is open for you. And we truly want the best for the agents, and we want to make this business a lot better than what it is. We really want to make a difference, and that's why this company came about. You know, and you can see, if you're following us, you know, you can see all the trainings that we're having. We give you, you know, life experience, things that are happening right now. When this whole COVID-19 started, we look back and say, okay, our agents now more than ever, they need the support. They need to make sure that there's going to be opportunities, and not only we want to take advantage of it, we will want you to take advantage of it as well, and implement those ideas, and then come up ahead of the game, you know, in months from now. You don't want to be left behind, and we don't want to, you know, want to make sure that nobody's left behind. So I want to thank you personally for that, because a lot of you are been following us since all this started, and you've been engaging with us, following us with this, and we encourage you to please share with other agents, share with other people that might benefit from this trainings and what we're talking about, the marketing, how to create leads, how to create your pipeline, but also on strategies, how to get more business, how to close more sales, understanding our day-to-day business operations. So stay tuned, because there's a lot of trainings still pending to come. So again, that's www.brokernation.events. Everything will be posted in there. Monday to Friday, we always have training. So stay tuned with us, and again, and I hope that this passes soon, and we can get we have the chance of meeting you guys personally. We have to resume to using the Zoom meetings, but all of these trainings we're doing in live at our office in North Miami and the Doral branch, and we look forward to getting back to that hopefully sooner than later.
Last question, if you don't mind.
Please,
Not any other agent that they are not affiliated with your brokerage can use your lead generation as paid, I would say, like, for example, Boomtown, or they are different companies that they are getting paid to get leads online. Does your company have such a feature for other agents other than yours?
right. Right now, we're not selling it per se, or have a system in place, a paid system in place for outside agents to, use the same type of services. It's not a bad idea. We just don't have it right now. What we do have is the training that can be applied to pretty much any CRM, whichever you feel more comfortable with. But it's the learning aspect of it. We'll give you all the tools, the training of it, and how to do things so you can apply it. But maybe Steve, maybe we should look into putting something together.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make a comment on that, Daylon. As far as if you're talking about third-party lead generation platforms that we might recommend or something like that, I am a big evangelist on trying to get all of our agents off of the third-party lead gen platforms like Zillow or Realtor.com, and instead generating their own leads through Facebook and Google mostly. That's going to be, I mean, I even hate giving money to Facebook and Google, but it's still a better media spend than a third party in between that is these third party lead gen programs that, sell the same lead to 6 different agents and that are getting to the consumer before you and things like that. So I'm a big proponent of generating your own leads and learning these tactics and strategies to generate your own leads so that you don't have to pay other people for leads and pay so much.
Yeah, and on that same note, that's the same thing I tell our agents, that when you pay Zillow and all these companies like Boomtown and stuff like that, yeah, you're paying to get leads, but you're not really building a brand. Now, when you actually spend the time or the money, instead of putting in this type of companies, you're putting it to your branding, to your ads, optimizing your listings, your brand, your squeeze pages, and other stuff. You're creating an image that is gonna pay off, in the long term, and you're getting leads in the meantime because you're putting money behind it. So those are the leads that you're getting yourself, but at the same time you're promoting yourself. So it works both ways. So I think that's money better spent than if you were to pay a premium for leads or being sold to other agents at the same time as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and especially to just reiterate what Daylon is saying, especially the branding part. In my world, we look at branding as a appreciating asset, like a financial instrument or a piece of real estate or a piece of stock or a derivative or a bond or something. When we invest our time and our money into it, like this very thing that you're on right now is a perfect example. that is an appreciating asset that you put out into the world, and it goes into your brand and builds really two things: awareness and trust. That's the two things that you want to do with building your brand. And this again is a good example. We are building awareness. South Florida realtors know us, through these things that we do online, especially, and these events that we did before we went online through COVID. And then trust, by always being there. Every time you guys want something, we always try to deliver on the promise of what we promise to deliver value to you guys. So I would encourage all you guys to do the same.
Thank you.
How does the revenue sharing work?
Excellent question. So revenue sharing, what is it and how does it work? So revenue sharing, that's again, we see our agents as a partner with us in the company. That means that we help you grow your business. So we developed this system that is divided into 4 tiers. So right now you're working with agents, you're surrounding yourself with other agents that you have worked with in the past and stuff like that. So you do have a database of agents that you have worked with. So by the same trainings that we do, you can invite other outside agents or, to come to the training and learn. And again, they're completely free. So what happened is most of the time, these agents that you have invited, because of you, they join the company. Now we see that effort that you did should be compensated, but not just a one-time thing. So our company, it's 100% commission company, and we have fees, and we only have one monthly fee, which is $89.95 that we charge a month, which includes not only this trainings, but it gives you a lot of tools, trainings, marketing. So a lot of stuff that you can take advantage of for only $89.95 when you're 100% commission. We do have other structures depending on your needs. And if you want to know more about those, you can give me a call. I put my number in the chat, but it's 305-873-4406. But you can always, the idea behind this is that when you introduce somebody else to the company, those $89.95 doesn't go to our pocket. That's not a profit for us. In fact, that's what we share. When you do a transaction, when the agent closes on a transaction, there's a $395 fee that is charged to the agent. Now, those fees that we're collecting, those fees are, like I said, there's not profit for us. We do share our profit with you guys. So by you introducing somebody to the company, you have 4 tiers below you. On your first tier, you make 20% from what we give you. And there's a lot more information that you can get out of this. And I would like to explain more into detail how this works. But think about it. When you have a passive income, that's the idea of this revenue sharing, creating passive income by doing your business. So you introduce other people to the company, you get compensated for that. So you have a first tier, second tier, third, and fourth, and you're making money on all of them. You only have to worry on one, which is your first tier. Once you introduce people to the company, they're gonna want to do the same, and that's how you grow. So think of it like you're a broker without having the liability of an office, the liability of training people, or paying for systems. We're taking that liability for you, but we're giving you all the profits. So that works amazingly well for a lot of our agents, and we used to have office meetings once a month, but now we're every week we do our office meeting, and only for our agents. But once a month we do the revenue sharing. That's when we give out the checks to our agents, and that they have done tremendous work by inviting other people simply to this type of training. Those people have joined the office, and they're getting paid. We have high earners just that they have done that. So think about it this way. They say that 1 month you didn't get to close a transaction, but that doesn't mean you don't have to get paid. You did the effort one time, and you can get revenue for a long time. And it goes beyond that. It's a way of, as you know, us in real estate, if we don't work, if we don't produce, there's no money coming in, right? And there's no retirement really, unless you do like a 401k or something like that, or investment into properties and stuff. But there's really no retirement. With this type of system in place, we allow you to grow within the company, and you can retire from real estate and still get compensated forever. Even your your kids, if something, God forbid something happens to you, you can leave something behind. You can leave a legacy. Without a legacy, there's money involved, obviously. So this is something bigger. I mean, you might not comprehend it. I won't be able to explain everything right now. But if you go to our website, join BrokerNationRE.com, you'll be able to see more into this. That's joinBrokerNationRE.com. There's a little bit more information on that. You can give me a call or call in our Miami office. We'll be more than help you, more than happy to help you explain how this works and how we can grow your career within this industry.
Dayline, I just wanted to, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell everyone that originally the reason that I joined Broker Nation and came to the company was because of the revenue sharing program. I was so impressed with it, and I thought it was, very, very generous and, gave back. And that's what really attracted me to the company when I first met Armando, his vision of that revenue sharing program. So anybody that wants to learn more, you drop a message to either me or Daylon, and we'd be happy to tell you more about that.
Yep.
Any other questions anybody has? These are all really good questions. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. If you don't have any other questions, or if anything else come up, don't be shy. Feel free to give us a call. You can call Steve. You can email. You can send him an email. You can call me or email me. Feel free to reach out to us if any questions arise, or if there's any topic that you would like to learn more or would like for us to go into detail. Make sure you reach out and send us what topic you want to learn about, and we'll be more than happy to put it into a training and release that for you guys. All right. So if there's no more question, please, I want everybody to have an amazing Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week on another training. All right. So please, let's wave to the camera. And I hope you guys are well.
Everybody can say bye. I unmuted everybody. So wave and say goodbye. Thank you all.
Everybody, and thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank
Have a
you.
great week. Have a great weekend. Thank you.